Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your racket. So I always talk about how good rackets are, or how they can improve rackets, or what they've done with rackets. I think I'm going to start a new series, Worst Rackets Ever. And this is episode 2, because I've done 1 already. Stay tuned. All right, coffee sponsor of today is Michael Lee. So Michael Lee came in today and said, I know you drink black coffee every day. And I was like, yes, I do. That's no secret. And he goes, yeah, maybe you can save the earth with one of these. And I'm like, okay, cool. I like these things. Size difference. So he must think I need a lot of coffee every day. So I was like, okay. And he's like, don't worry, this will keep it piping hot just like you like it. So hopefully I can get into the habit of bringing this to Pete's and having them fill it up. I explained to him, though, that the reason I don't use these is, I'll forget it in the morning, right? So, but you know, they have cups, right? But even if I remember it, I probably would have forgotten to wash it. So, as you guys know who carry any kind of flask around, if you don't wash it, it smells. And it smells like a wet rag. And I hate that smell. Plus, if you ever looked in there, there's stuff growing in there if you don't wash it. So I've, maybe like you guys, have thrown these bottles and cups away because it's like a forest in the cup. So, and I'm not about to wash that and then drink it. So you guys know what I mean, okay? So thank you, Michael Lee, for thinking of me and the environment. I'll see how far I can get with saving me from myself, okay? And then we'll think about the environment later, all right? Sorry. But I'll try to use it, I promise. I'll try to use it. If you want to be my coffee sponsor of the day, network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Thank you all in advance. Thank you, Michael Lee, for thinking of the earth. I appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, super thanks is the way. Click on the link below and you can contribute as much or as little as you like. All right. Thank you all so much. I've actually used smaller versions of this in the past when I work from home. But at least it's at home and I wash it on a regular basis. If I'm taking it out of the house, who knows what's going to happen to this thing. It probably will be the rainforest in there. So as you guys know, I did a video on the worst racket, being the ASICS. And my man Kevin Chu said, it ain't that bad. Well, you kind of doctored it up to make it good. But I guess you could do that to any racket. But when I used that ASICS racket, the first few times, I was like, why they make this thing? But I guess there is a way to make something better, make the rackets a little better by stringing it a little differently and adding weights to it. And, you know, it's like what I said before. 48 pounds, 17 gauge, poly if you can, make anything feel pretty good, you know? Seems to be the magic number. So let me tell you a story about my first meeting with these rackets. So if you don't know, this is Pure Strike Gen 1. These came out, say 12 years ago now, 10, 12 years ago. And when my man Johnny Rushworth, you know, best rep in the world, gave me the demos to these. He gave me a 16 by 19 and then an 18 by 20. We strung them up with RPM back in the day at, I think it was 53. So I took them out and I hit with them for like an hour. And I was trying to like them, literally trying to like them. I was like, okay, yeah. So like what I kept doing on the court was hit, hit, hit for 5-10 minutes. I was like, nah. hit, 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 hit. So I kept switching back and forth because I was just looking for something to like. And I was like, I don't understand this racket. It bends the wrong way. What do I mean by it bends the wrong way? Well, when you impact the ball, it's like bending in a weird spot here. Upon further examination, there is an indentation right here. I don't want to say they were the first people to do that, but it was the first one that I noticed. And because of that, it bent wrong. To me, it had a weird feel. It didn't react right. They called it response woofer. Well, it's responded wrong to me. And Evo beam, yeah. Okay, what does Evo mean in these days? Cheaper version of rackets that Babolat make. If you look at any Evo, it's not the upper echelon stuff. It's usually the second tier down. I mean, these lasted 2 years, 3 years. I didn't sell many, and not a lot of people bought them until generation 2, that Project 17 thing in the 16 by 19 in the cool white color. Those actually sold a lot better, but these were on clearance. So these are actually my man Dan's, you know, the science man. And I was like, hey, let me borrow those. He's like, why? I was like, because those are one of the worst rackets ever made. And he's like, no, they're not that bad. And I was like, well, that's because you like everything usually. So he's like, yeah, go ahead, but don't trash it too bad. And I'm like, it's okay, I'll just tell the truth. It's all good. All right, so I got an 18 by 20 here and then 100. So the 100 is actually the very lesser known version of this racket. I actually didn't know they made 100. I knew they made 3 versions, 16, 19, 18, 20, and Tour. That's all I knew. I actually didn't know this 100 existed until Dan brought this, okay? So what are we gonna do? I'm gonna go retest them, see which pro is available to hit with, and see what they think too. I can't be the only one. I'm probably the majority, not the minority. I know that for a fact already. See you on the court.
Okay, good.
All right, guys, so we just got off the court with these rackets. Coach Chris didn't really understand why I was bringing these out. Maybe he thought I was just being a little nostalgic and bring out Gen 1 strikes. Just to give you guys a background, give you a background. Before these rackets were out, the predecessors were Pure Control. Okay, so a control racket. They changed the name of their racket to Pure Storm, and then they brought the name back to Pure Control. So are you familiar with Pure Control?
Yes.
Or Pure Storm?
Yes.
Okay. So it was kind of a reddish, maybe a little white and black kind of a racket.
Yeah.
The first rackets that came out that Babolat made was Pure Control and Pure Drive. This is way before Arrow was even around. So those were 1 and 2 for them in the market. Then for some reason they decided, we don't want to do Pure Control, we don't want to do Pure Storm anymore. We're going to come out with a new line of rackets, Pure Strike. And these were the first editions of them. And we have the 1820 out and then the 100 out. I don't remember the 100, but I definitely remember how bad the 1820 was. There was also an 1820 Tour version and a 1619 version. I wanted to like them, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. It was like a bad egg, you know. All it's gonna do is just make you go, if you know what I mean. Ooh. But I don't want to taint your thought and what this video is about. But I just want you to tell them what you think it is before I go into my personal feelings. Okay, go for it.
I actually like playing with these. The second.
Then there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with me. No, I think that I probably prefer the 100 a little bit more. But I can understand why people don't like them. I think that the overall responsiveness and the weird frame of it when you strike the ball, it doesn't have that kind of same, I guess, energy or responsiveness as kind of what we're used to. And then obviously if you play like this guy all the time with Regna, and then you play with this, yeah, I see the difference. But I actually think it's not as bad. I think there are some worse lines out there than the strike, at least this early model. But you know, from my experiences, I've always heard that the strikes nowadays, someone's always had some elbows issue with that. But I always felt like, at least when I was hitting with these, that they were actually quite good or good enough to be able to play with. So,
all right, good, honest opinion. So let me tell you what this theme is.
Uh-oh.
So I deem these rackets as the second worst racket line ever made. First being the Asics. The Asics was a 100 square inch frame. I did a video on that. And I remember trying to like these, like I said, and I just couldn't. There's just something wrong with these rackets.
These ones?
Yeah.
They're engineered in France.
I know. Made by your people. And mine. Okay. But
why didn't you like them?
So here, hold this.
Okay, I'll hold this.
I'm just going to blame this because it's what I think it is. So there's an indentation in here on both sides, and it caused the frame to bend in a weird way. Like when you hit it right, it bent, and then it's like the feedback wasn't quite there. Like I cut the strings out, I restrung it 2-3 times, and it still didn't work. It felt like kind of a lever doing this, but like a bad lever though. Like it flexed wrong. And that's the only way I can describe it. I mean, you're right in that the energy distribution was not quite there. And I tried adjusting the strings way back when, and it didn't work. No matter how much power I tried to inject into the racket, it didn't make it any better. I couldn't do it. But again, that's me though. I mean, there are people that use it and they still like it today.
Right.
But I felt like when these rackets were sitting on the shelf to sell, that it didn't really move very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. No, I mean, I think again, we have to do a video too as well to see what are the worst lines out there.
Okay.
I want to do a comparison. I just don't think that they're that bad to be the second worst. And I also want to, well, yeah, we should probably just
let's talk about bad rackets then. Okay. Yeah. We'll do another video on bad rackets. Okay. All right. Of what Chris is doing. Okay. Coach Chris, where can they find you, bud?
You can find me at CB10 Tennis.
All right. So we're going to go out with Coach Rob now and see what he thinks. He bleeds Wilson red, so strike red is probably not going to work. So I might have an obvious answer there. All right, let's go see Rob.
Okay, switch.
All right, guys, so we're on the court, just finished with the pure strikes. I have the 18 by 20 in my hand. Coach Rob's got the lesser known 100 on him. I actually don't remember that one, as I told you, but I remember how bad this was, as I said before. I didn't taint Coach Rob at all. I just said, hey, let's try these, and I just wanted to see what he thought. Okay, but we know what the subject of the racket is. This racket review is about. Okay, Coach Rob, what'd you think of these?
So I had no idea that they made 100 in this racket.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen it. I had seen, many of those.
18, and there was a 16, and there was a tour, which was an 18 also.
Okay.
So there are
I remember
thought
more
there
of
were
the
three.
standard.
Yeah, I thought there were three, and then I guess the fourth one arrives at some point.
Yeah, so I was not a fan of the 100. Didn't like whether it was the strings, the weight, the head size, the ball did not come off the racket enjoyable. It just, not for me.
Mm-hmm. 18?
This one, I'm not an 18 by 20 fan, but this one felt pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't horrible, but there again, not my fave. So, and we had some people that were playing with it back in the day. There were some juniors that were playing with it that enjoyed it, and obviously the newer models have superseded this one because I think this was like their first generation
Correct.
of Pure Strike. Yeah, so the racket has gotten better, thankfully, for the people that play with it.
Okay. As you guys know, Coach Rob is one of the nicest guys out in tennis, right? If you didn't, I'm just telling you right now, okay? So for him to say that it's decent, it could mean it's a couple steps down from that. Like, meaning I really hate it, but I'm not really going to badmouth it so much because that's not who I am. And that's why Harry's here, just kind of reading between the lines, if you know what I mean. So on the court, he's like, I can't play with this 100. Give me something else. So I gave him that 1820, and he was like, this is better. This is better than this.
Correct.
But the topic of this video, he doesn't know yet. The topic of this video is one of the worst rackets ever made. One of the worst lines ever made. And when I first got these from John Rushworth, he's like,
saw him today, actually.
You know how he is. He's a sales guy. Obviously, he's going to say like, these are the greatest things since sliced bread. You're going to love them. And then he handed me the 1619 and the 1820 and the tour. And I tried them. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I had a bad day. Okay. I have bad days. I have a lot of bad days. So I go out again. Another bad day? Or is it the racket? And I started feeling around, like I felt this ridge here. And I'm like, Johnny, what is this ridge here? He's like, oh, that's reflex. So you can get feel, you know, when it strikes there. And I'm like, it feels bad. Like, what do you mean? That's like technology. I was like, you putting a freaking ridge on there, I don't think it does anything for it. You should just flatten it back out. He's like, no, it's going to do well for you. Well, I mean, it didn't sell very well. Every time I demoed it out, it was like, eh.
Yeah, I can think of 2 players that I remember I had back in the day that liked it. And then, you know,
yeah,
they moved on.
Once in a blue moon,
from
somebody
it.
will walk in with this racket, and I look at them and was like, you like that racket? I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with it? It's like, a lot, but it's okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't mean to badmouth the racket, but it wasn't one of my better sellers. It kind of sat there. Obviously, I didn't reorder it because it didn't do well. Once they came out with the white one in the Project 17, as you guys remember, the white with a slightly orange in the prototype models, those felt a lot better. It had more feel. This thing was muted, flexed wrong. All the stuff that you mentioned that you sugar-coated a little bit, it was just,
There's a lot of sugar on there.
Oh,
but
yeah. Let me just empty out the sugar and let the salt take over. But yeah, no, I would deem this as the second worst racket ever made. First one being the A6 one video that I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you weren't part of that one.
No,
but
missed that one.
yeah. Do you remember the A6 racket? It was
Maybe
a
if I saw
100.
it.
It was like bluish with a little magenta in there and purple. It was an A6 100. They
Okay.
tried to do
I
like
believe you, but I
they
don't
tried to make
remember
like
it.
a pure drive, and it was rounded here.
Oh.
Only certain people got it, but
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't very good. Like the butt cap, the sticker on the butt cap would fall off. 100, like within a couple strikes, the glue would just come off. So you would never see a A6
So you never had to spin.
thing on there. Yeah, so you couldn't spin.
couldn't
It was just
spin.
black.
Right.
But so would you agree with me?
Just
Just tell them the truth, Rob.
if I had to tell the truth, if the polygraph were out, I'm not a fan. Yeah, not a fan.
Straight polygraph.
Right.
All
I'm
right.
not a fan. I mean, and I'm not a huge fan of this particular brand, but
Yes. That's
Yeah.
all right. That's
Yeah.
all right. All right. Thank you, Coach Rob, for
You're
your sugar-coated honesty. I
You're
appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody out there who's a fan of your niceness and honesty appreciates it too. Okay? Guys, would you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. Have you played with this racket? Do you own this racket? And if you do, tell me why. And if you're still playing with it, or did it get donated to Goodwill? All right? Let me know.
Thank you for watching Tennis Spin.
where we put our spin on your tennis. What the hell? Harry! Harry!
What? Is that you?
Yeah! What's going on? What are you doing here?
I got stuck.
You're too squishy!
Come on, little dude.
I'm working at it!
Come on.
Oh, man!